Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the March 26, 2019 Board of Commissioners meeting. I think we have some seats down front here. People in the back want to sit down here? Come on now, relax, people. We're got a lot to do on here. We got an important meeting, but first of all, I want to preface my comments by saying I want to thank you all for coming tonight. I think our founding fathers would be delighted by what we see here tonight. So with that, let's get started with the invocation. Barry Little from the Police Department will lead us in the invocation, and then Investigator Kerry Brown from the Cobb County Sheriff Department will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So those who are willing and able, please stand.
Thank you. Will you join me in prayer? Our gracious Heavenly Father, we're thankful to be here tonight. And God, we just ask that you'll bless those that are here, the words that are said tonight, and the statements that are made, and statements that are received. Will you be with those who are speaking, and will you be with those who are receiving those statements? Father, we're thankful and grateful for each of the members of our staff that are here tonight, those that serve day in and day out, for those who are here that have served and are retired from this great department. Father, will you bless their families, and will you bless them here tonight? We're grateful for our commissioners, and God, we just ask tonight that you'll provide them wisdom and discernment as we go through this meeting. Father, will all the things that we say and do here tonight honor you? Will you help us to love others the way that you loved us? And it's in the name of my Lord and Savior I pray. Amen.
Amen. All yours.
I'll do it. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's do the presentations first. I'd like to have the board join me down front with the county manager. And I'd like to have Sam Heaton, Director of Public Safety, please come down forward with his family and friends. They're just here to make sure you leave it.
Yeah, I know.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Hosack, and tonight I am honored to present this proclamation to probably one of the finest department heads I've ever worked with, but actually also one of the best people I've been able to call a personal friend. Sam Heaton is going to be retiring from Cobb County government on Friday, and I think anybody that knows Sam would be very, very quick to admit that he has had a profound impact on every duty that he has undertaken on behalf of the county. Sam, tonight, I'd like to read this proclamation by the Board of Commissioners. I've got to put some glasses on if you'll hold that real quick. Thank you. Whereas Sam Heaton has faithfully served the residents of Cobb County for more than 33 years. Heaton was hired as a firefighter in October 1985 and served diligently in the fire department, rising through the ranks to eventually be appointed as fire chief in May 2008. And whereas Heaton stepped up to fill the role of interim public safety director from September 2010 to January 2013. Because of his hard work, dedication, and experience, Heaton was appointed as public safety director in January 2014, a role in which he has excelled. As Public Safety Director, Heaton has provided oversight and direction of police, fire and emergency services, 911, animal control, and the Emergency Management Agency. And whereas throughout his career, he has distinguished himself as a leader, both within Cobb County government and throughout our community. Heaton has served on numerous boards of local, regional, and state organizations. He has also served as chair of the Metro Atlanta Fire Chiefs Executive Group and was appointed to the Georgia Department of Public Safety Board by Governor Nathan Deal in 2018. And Whereas Heaton is a graduate of the Atlanta Regional Commission's Regional Leadership Institute, a Leadership Cobb graduate, and an Excel graduate. He has been honored with many awards, including the Silver Eagle Award in 2010, the Award of Excellence in 2011, and the 2015 Outstanding Citizen Award from the National Society of the Sons of the American Revolution. Now, therefore, we, the Cobb County Board of Commissioners, do hereby honor Director Sam Heaton for more than 3 decades of dedicated service to help keep our community safe and protected. We congratulate him on his much-deserved retirement and wish him best in the future endeavors. This, the 26th day of March 2019, signed by all 5 commissioners. Sam, well done.
Well, that's dangerous to hand the mic on the last week of I wish all of you were here for the farewell, but I know there's a lot of work to be done. Let me first say what an honor, a privilege it has been for me to be able to serve you, the citizens of Cobb County, the Board of Commissioners. Most of y'all know I love this county, and I have fought for not only public safety but other employees in this county, and I'll continue to do that. I live here in the county. I'm a citizen of the county, and I'll continue. You may see me up here at the podium another time or two, but I want to say, first of all, Rob and the management team, other department heads, thank you for working so close together. I said it at our department managers meeting, no disrespect to the board, but it's the employees that make Cobb County the greatest place in the world. And you know, the one thing I encouraged is keep on keeping on, because we are the best, and you are the folks that make it the best. So keep that up. To the board, thank you for the support you've given public safety and all of us. As you know, there's some more work to be done, and we've all had that discussion, I know. And as I leave, I know that discussion will continue. We even as early as this morning, we were having a conversation about possibilities. So I have all the confidence in the world. You guys are going to do the right thing. I know these folks out here are going to do the right thing. Thank you so much for the opportunity you have given me and you have given me. And I hope I've lived up to it. I was telling the staff today, if you look back, we've done a lot of great things. It just gets lost when you're here every day working, but we've added personnel, we've added facilities, we've added a lot of incentives. Unfortunately, today in public safety, it's an open market, and that's a tough place for our citizens, and it's a tough place for elected officials. But all I can say from the bottom of my heart, thank you all. I appreciate each and every one of you. To each of you that are here today and the ones that maybe are watching on TV, thank you for what you do every single day to make me, my family, and everybody in this county safe. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there anyone else you want a picture here, like, is Randy here, or Chief Register? Get in the middle. Yeah. Yes, sir. And Director Heaton will be having a retirement ceremony here later this week, and the commissioners get a chance to give their personal remarks at that time. All right, the next one we have is Commissioners Ott and Gambrill. So you want to just call them down, or is there a secret hand signal here or something? Okay. In order to make sure that we observe the fire code here, we're gonna have to cycle people in and out of here, so if you just bear with us for a couple seconds while we get the high school students down here with their teachers.
And come on up front, y'all. You got the written stuff. So while the teachers are walking up here, just kind of a little bit of background. Last meeting had the honor of recognizing Wheeler High School as the #1 STEM school. And tonight, Commissioner Gambrell and I get to recognize 4 teachers that have been selected for a NASA program. I'm going to let Commissioner Gambrell tell you a little bit about it.
Thank you. The NASA Ambassador Program is a professional development opportunity for high school science teachers designed to improve science teaching and learning and increase student engagement in science, technology, engineering, and math, also known as STEM. Only 28 teachers nationwide were selected as NASA Airborne Astronomy Ambassadors. As ambassadors, the Cobb teachers will join fellow educators for training in astrophysics, planetary science content, and
I don't even know what it is.
pedagogy, okay. And how you teach, okay? So we all learned a new word today. We'd like to congratulate each one of you on this accomplishment.
So we have certificates for you recognizing your selection. And as Commissioner Gambrell said, you are 4 out of 28. So that is a huge testament to the quality of the teachers here in Cobb County. And I know joining you is the chairman of the board, vice chairman of the board, Brad Wheeler, and then David Banks, who represents Wheeler High School. So from Wheeler High School, I have Season Salkup, and basically it says, Cobb County Board of Commissioners congratulates you on being selected as one of only 28 teachers nationwide to serve as NASA Airborne Astronomy Ambassadors. And then the rest of the certificate basically says what Commissioner Gambrell just read. So where is Season?
And I have a certificate of recognition for Burkle Alexander from Kennesaw High School. And a certificate of recognition for Philip Matthews from Kennesaw High School. And a certificate of recognition to Nikki Bissessi, okay, from Hillgrove High School.
Now, I believe there's also a couple other from the administrations at the schools, right? So, why don't you guys identify who you are?
Chris Wallstead from Wheeler High School.
Okay. Anybody else?
Sally Creel from Cobb County Schools.
Okay. All right. Well, you guys come on over in the middle. We've got to do the picture. Come on, you're going to be in a lot tighter space than this.
Next program are the ROTC students from Kennesaw Mountain and Hillgrove High, correct?
And Representative Earhart, this is you, right?
So we're going to bring them in. Hey, how are you, Representative? Good seeing you. Good to see you. Are those my?
Yeah, come on in. I'd rather have them on TV than Navy. The Hillgrove Navy Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps orienteering team was recently crowned as Navy NJROTC champions at the Navy NJROTC Orienteering National Championships held inside the Vasquez Rocks Natural Area in Agua Dulce, California, near Los Angeles, California. This annual competition brings the best orienteers from nearly 600 NJROTC units from around the country. Orienteering is a competitive sport in which runners race as they navigate their way to various checkpoints across rough terrain with the aid of only a map and a compass in hopes of having the fastest time. The phenomenal performance of the team is a clear indication of the outstanding athletic ability, dedication, hard work, superior teamwork, and spirit of each member of the team, and the astute coaching and leadership of Lieutenant Commander Ronald Honowski and Senior Naval Science Instructor. This is the unit's first national title, coming on the heels of 2 state championships last year in academics and orienteering. This magnificent team has earned a well-deserved reputation across the country for excellence by performing with dedication and precision over months of training and competition, and is abundantly proper to call them champions. I'm going to go ahead and let you.
Thank you so much. Well, I couldn't be more proud of you folks. I have to tell you, if there's a place in my heart, bigger place in my heart than that I have for our law enforcement officers, it's our military, and that's for sure. And you just are a fine-looking group of young cadets, and I just, on behalf of the Georgia House of Representatives, I'd like to present you with a resolution recognizing and commending the Hillgrove High School Navy JROTC cadets on their orienteering championship. I do need the glasses. And whereas the Hillgrove High School Navy JROTC has a reputation in the community and throughout the state for strength, determination, and dedication, and whereas the Hillgrove cadets captured their first national championship, cementing them as the best orienteers from nearly 600 NJROTC units from around the country, 11 of Hillgrove's 14 competitors received medals, all placing in the top 5 for the 2-day competition. And whereas the Hillgrove team accumulated 480 out of a possible 500 points, well ahead of the second place score of only 370, this team has placed 4 years in a row, with the recent victory being their first national championship win. And whereas the Hillgrove High School Navy JROTC cadets that competed in the orienteering championship in Agua Dulce, California, include, and please forgive me with pronunciations, I hope I get them all right, Luke Ballantyne, Mason Blum, Tristan Campbell, Nadia Darasing, am I just assaulting these names? I'm so sorry. Zachary Dureau, Taodong, did I get that right? Okay. Cade Dorweiler, Kiana Fields, Jacob Galicchio, Jennifer Harnage, Connor Light, Elena Mortensen, Fabian, is it Nigan? almost. Lucas Schultz, Mary Smith, Elson Trumbull, and Peyton Valencia. And whereas these fine cadets achieved victory under the guidance of instructors Lieutenant Commander Ronald Honowski and Chief Alan W. Harris, and whereas these magnificent cadets performed with precision during their events and serve as exceptional role models for all students in the state of Georgia, now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives that the members of this body commend the Hillgrove High School Navy JROTC for its outstanding achievements and extend their sincerest best wishes for continued success in the future. Thank you so much.
Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. One of those should do it, thanks. We charge by the minute.
So far we've seen outstanding teachers that have been selected by NASA. We've seen our junior ROTC that win in competition. And next we're going to recognize 3 scouts who have obtained the rank of Eagle. And as these 3 young men are walking up here, keep in mind that only 4% of the boys that enter scouting ever obtain the rank of Eagle. And all the footsteps on the moon are by Eagle Scouts. So I have Thomas Sharpless, Harrison Stadler, and Jake Moultrie. I'm going to let them each tell you about what their Eagle project was.
Hi, I'm Thomas Sharpless. My Eagle project was an 80-foot by 40-foot bridge at the Mount Bethel Upper Campus, and it had right around 500 hours in it.
Hi, I'm Harrison Stadler. I built a 3-stage compost station and 2 benches at Hyde Farm Park that took around 125 hours.
Hi, my name is Jake Moultrie. I built an outdoor classroom for a Wright Nature Center in the local area. It consisted of 7 benches and 1 table, and it was around 100 hours.
So I have certificates of achievement here, 1 for each of you. And I'll just read Jake's. So it says, presented to Jake Moultrie, Troop 1011. The Cobb County Board of Commissioners congratulates you on achieving the highest respected rank of Eagle Scout. Your service project to build an outdoor classroom with table and benches for the Wright Environmental Education Center is much appreciated. Visitors will enjoy these additions for years to come. We wish you the best at your Court of Honor ceremony and in all future endeavors. Now, the really cool thing is I was all these young men Scoutmaster when Thomas was about yay high, and watched all of them grow up and then make Eagle, so congratulations.
So, an admin note here, I'm gonna make a motion to add some to the consent agenda here, as well as some appointment tabs, but I just want to go over those briefly with you here and at home. The one consent agenda item is to authorize renewal of an MOU with the Georgia Emergency Management Agency and Homeland Security. And then there's three appointments, two that have to be voted on by the board, one for tax assessor, and, I'm sorry, there's only two that have to be, one has to be voted on by the board, one for tax assessor, that'll be Commissioner Gamble's appointment. And then there's an announcement for the Neighborhood Safety Commission, that'll be Commissioner Gamble's announcement. So that, I make a motion to add these three items to the agenda.
Second.
A second, any discussion? Call the question. Okay, it passes 5-0, thank you. All right, public comment. So how many speakers signed up?
You have 17.
Okay, let me talk about the board this for a second. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna listen to all 17 speakers tonight. We're gonna do the first 9. Everybody gets 4 minutes tonight, and then we're gonna do the last 8 at the end of the meeting. They get 4 minutes also. Okay? So the first 9 speakers, you announce them, and we ask you when you come to the podium, please let us know who you are and where you live.
The first speaker is Russell Clay.
Yes, sir.
Greetings. My name is Russell Clay. I live in Mapleton, Georgia. I've been a resident there since 1996. I retired from the Cobb County Fire Department after 25 years of service. I was hired in 1993 and retired in March of 2018. That's 25 years of service during a period where there was a problem with diversity and systemic racism. I lived and worked through that period during my service with the Cobb County Fire Department. And during that time period, there was an affirmative action plan that was adopted back in 1989 by the Board of Commissioners. One important point from that adopted plan, it said that as vacancies occur, every effort will be made to recruit, employ, and advance minorities and females. During my 10 years service, after retiring and doing some research, well, I found that has not been met and is not even near being acceptable. Currently, right now, Cobb County stands, the fire department at least, stands as 88.4% white, which is 603 employees, 6.7% African American, which is 46 employees, 2.9% Hispanic, which is 20 employees, 0.02% Native Americans, which is 2, 0.02% Asians, which is 2. So by all means, those numbers do not meet the adopted affirmative action plan by the Board of Commissioners back in 1989. And so what I'm here before the board today is to ask that the board take accountability for the administration that served as the fire department management during that time period, the director of public safety during that time period, and as well as the director of human resources. They all had to be aware, if not should have been aware, of this affirmative action plan that was adopted by the Board of Commissioners to address the diversity problem and the problem of systemic racism. I ask that the board would have oversight in policy review and adoption of policies and procedures to effect change to ensure that this problem of diversity and systemic racism get resolved. There's no reason why those numbers should be that low. If you simply just go look up the demographics of Cobb County, you certainly can see that Cobb County is not 88.4% white. So therefore, there is a problem that has to be addressed. Of course, board, I'm that guy who has been sending you those emails regarding those issues. And it's a number of emails that I sent that had a number of support documents with it from my research and reviewing those things. And so I hope that you would review those emails, make good, right decisions from your positions. You serve not only your respective districts, but you serve as representatives of the entire Cobb County. And I would hope and expect that you would do the right thing concerning this issue. I enjoyed my career there. It was some challenging times, and it was hard to be there and try to get an understanding of how, being an employee, and understanding how can I get these issues addressed that I recognized and saw throughout my career.
Thank you, sir, for your comments.
Thank you for your time.
The next speaker is Matt Babcock.
I'm Matt Babcock. I live in District 3. First, I'd like to thank the commissioners for their service to the community. I had the honor of being a Cobb firefighter for 10 years until I resigned last month. I had to make the difficult decision to leave the job that I loved because that was what was best for my family. Now, in my new career, I'm able to work less hours, make a higher paycheck, and have a better retirement. When I became a firefighter in 2008, Cobb County was the premier department in Georgia, and there was fierce competition for each slot in a new recruit school. Back then, we'd have over 1,000 applicants show up to the pre-hire test. Now we're lucky to get 1/3 that many. This shrinking candidate pool is making it difficult to fill open positions. The problem is exacerbated by the fact that Cobb firefighters are leaving for other departments or private sector jobs with better pay and benefits. These factors, along with the long lead time to hire and train new firefighters, has resulted in about 80 open field positions. So why is that a problem? Chronic short staffing is a danger to our community. The minimum staffing on Cobb fire engines and ladder trucks is 3 personnel. But if we were fully staffed, there would typically be 4 personnel per vehicle. That extra firefighter makes a huge difference. When responding to a house fire, the 4 personnel on a fully staffed engine are able to divide into 2 teams of 2 and accomplish 2 tasks at the same time. For example, they can simultaneously perform a search for trapped victims while also pulling a hose line and extinguishing the fire. On the other hand, a minimally staffed engine with only 3 people can't send in 1 person alone, so the 3-person crew has to choose between performing a search for victims while the fire grows or delaying the search until the fire's been put out. When I bought my house in Cobb County in 2009, all I wanted from the commissioners was a low tax bill. But now today I have a different perspective. I expect a fully staffed fire department that's ready to protect my family in our time of need. The thought of my wife and 3-month-old daughter waiting in a room that's filling with smoke because of a failure to act on this known and escalating crisis breaks my heart. So what's the solution? Our public safety employees aren't sticking around because they see that they don't have a future with Cobb. In 2010, the retirement plan was gutted and is now the worst retirement in the metro area. Our starting pay is about average, but rewards for performance and longevity are seriously lacking. DeKalb County recently approved a 4% public safety raise, and Gwinnett County recently approved a 7.5% partially merit-based raise for the second year in a row. Meanwhile, Cobb County firefighters have not received a raise in over 3 years, and they're being told to just hang on, maybe next year. This is not how we build a strong fire department. The solution is a transparent and equitable pay structure, such as a step and grade plan and a more competitive retirement plan. When we lose a firefighter to another department or the private sector, it takes 10 months to hire a replacement, 11 months of training, 7 months of probational field training. That's a total of 28 months and over $100,000 in salary, training, equipment, and overtime to refill one position. This tremendous cost, loss of experience, and lack of staffing can be avoided by showing increased level of commitment to our firefighters through, again, a transparent and equitable pay system and a more competitive retirement. Cobb has been building new fire stations and buying new fire trucks, but fully staffing the trucks we already have should be a higher priority. I hope Cobb citizens will stand behind me in asking our commissioners to genuinely make public safety a priority by taking reasonable and necessary action to fully staff our fire department. Thank you.
The next speaker is Kim Peace Hill.
Good evening. My name is Kim Peace Hill. I am the co-founder of an organization called Blue Thanksgiving. And what we do is encourage and promote community support for all of our local law enforcement, first responders, and public safety. For 5 years, Cobb County commissioners have ignored warnings from people such as Jack Forsyth, John Hauser, Steve Gaynor, and many others regarding the crisis we now face in public safety in Cobb County. Years of failure have brought us here. Since my involvement in this campaign to raise public awareness of this issue, I have received numerous letters, messages, emails, you name it. They're all calling me, texting me, telling me their stories. And these are all Cobb County law enforcement and their families expressing how angry, hopeless, betrayed, and even afraid they feel because of the lack of response to this situation. I want to tell you a little bit about a few of these. The wife of a Cobb PD officer with 12 years of service wrote to me that the only raises her husband has received during this time have been offset by corresponding increases in his benefits contributions. A Cobb County Sheriff's deputy said their one on-call day per month is now mandatory, and many deputies are required to work 2 extra days a month to cover shifts that are understaffed. He wrote, quote, "We're tired and we're burned out from this long-term disaster we have been trying to wade through with no hope in sight. We see the inmates more than we see our own families. The Cobb board doesn't care." Finally, a Cobb PD wife described a husband who works multiple part-time jobs, and yet her family has to choose at times between buying groceries and paying medical bills, not to mention being unable to fix a leaky roof that has resulted in mold in their own home. She wrote There are weeks that we cannot afford healthy groceries. Forget fresh fruits and vegetables. We're feeding our kids hamburger helper without the meat, just to give them something in their bellies. And please don't get me started on medical costs. We often treat ailments as best we can at home because paying a $40 copay might mean we can't buy that hamburger helper. We go without repairing our homes because it simply costs too much. I know one police family that has gone a year without a working oven because they simply can't afford the repair. Our spouses choose every day to serve and protect their communities at the sacrifice of our families. But we make that choice with the false belief that the community we work for will take care of our basic needs with adequate pay and a respectable retirement for a job well done. More than 5 years ago, former Director of Public Safety Jack Forsyth predicted that it would take a catastrophic event before the necessary improvements would be made. It has been 5 years, and we're still here talking about the need for improvement. I pray it doesn't take the death of a citizen or a public safety officer before this board addresses the crisis, and God forbid this should happen. If it does, you can expect all the voters to hold you responsible. Thank you.
The next speaker is Samantha Rousey.
Good evening. Samantha Rousey, Mableton, Georgia. As someone who is proud to have been born and raised in Cobb County and a community leader in Cobb, a representative of Cobb business community, and an ardent supporter of Cobb law enforcement, I'm distressed at the need to be in front of you this evening. As president of the West Cobb Business Association, public safety support has been my personal platform, and I've had the distinct privilege to work hand in hand with Cobb law enforcement over the last year and a half. While it has only recently come to my attention the details of the crisis that our police officers are facing, unfortunately, I have discovered that this is a can that has been kicked down the road for many years. Chairman, you stated to me that the problem is that the citizens of Cobb just don't care about public safety. You pointed out to the park and said they're out there doing what they care about, spending time with their kids at the park. The problem, you see, is not that the citizens don't care, it is that they don't know. The majority of people take for granted that when they need a police officer, one will be there within minutes. If anyone told them the response time is going to be compromised, they wouldn't stand for it. If anyone thought that there was a choice between adding library hours and hiking trails or keeping a properly staffed police department to keep their family safe, there would be no doubt which one they would choose. People pack town halls about libraries and parks because no one is telling them that meanwhile, the police force is understaffed, which will result in increased response times, officer safety issues, reduced officers available for calls, overwork, burnout, and ultimately the deterioration of morale. You are focusing on the desire to put nice new options on a house that's on fire. And this house is not only on fire, it is fully engulfed. Approving the hiring of 23 police officers when they were already short 60 and can't fill those openings, plus can't retain the ones that they do have because of lack of pay, pension, and benefits is really a moot point. How many more seasoned officers do we have to lose? How comfortable are you having fewer officers responding to, preventing, and investigating crime? I'm not. I'm not happy with having fewer officers preventing, responding to, and investigating crime. When will enough be enough? What tragedy will it take for you to have to act? Chairman, you said that you understand their need to take care of their families and that you would endorse them to go somewhere else. I'm sure you didn't mean that to be as condescending as it is to someone who is working extremely hard to do a lot with a little. But my question to you is, when they go with your endorsement, who's going to take care of our families and our businesses here in Cobb? When we lose the seasoned officers, who will we have fighting for us if we don't fight for them now? In short, it is past time to fight for the heroes that fight for us every day. The time for delay is over. It is time to fix this crisis now. Thank you.
The next speaker is Lisa Powell-Huberty.
Slides. How do I fix them? All right, sorry about that. Hi, my name is Lisa Powell-Huberty. Good evening, Commissioners, and I thank you for this opportunity to speak. I live in Marietta, Georgia, in District 2, and I'm here to request that you consider a humane pet acquisition ordinance for Cobb County, one that would prevent the sale of dogs and cats in pet stores. I moved to Atlanta over 20 years ago, and I've always lived in Cobb County, and I know the county that I know and love cares for its residents, and it would be the perfect setting for this ordinance. This ordinance exemplifies the county motto, which is Cobb County, expect the best, and could protect Cobb residents and benefit the county for several reasons. One reason would be to allow our county to take a stand against puppy mill cruelty. Puppies in pet stores are primarily sourced from commercial breeding facilities, otherwise known as puppy mills. It's well documented that puppy mills subject their dogs to dreadful conditions, small cramped cages that are piled on top of one another, as you can see in this picture. And dogs rarely see sunlight or touch grass and are deprived of adequate food, water, and proper veterinary care. A recent case in Nashville, Georgia, there were over 700 dogs rescued from this exact misery. The police described the scene as out of control and inhumane. In this next slide, these were actually some of the dogs that were rescued in this case. Another reason is to protect consumers from a deceptive sales model that can result in a sick or behaviorally challenged dog, and treatment can cost thousands of dollars in veterinary bills. The Humane Society of the United States actually has received 33 complaints about customers that purchase dogs in a pet store in Cobb County. And here's an example of one of those. A family bought a puppy at Christmas for $5,000. Shortly after, the puppy became critically ill, many symptoms as you can see, and it was due to a parasite, and the puppy passed away. It was a nightmare for their family, especially for their 10-year-old daughter. Okay. And then another reason is to protect consumers from public health risk. The CDC actually linked an antibiotic-resistant strain of Campylobacter to pet stores that sell dogs, if you will recall. And nationally, there were 118 persons across 18 states that were identified with the illness. And we actually had one case here in Georgia where a teenager was hospitalized. And lastly, to shift the market toward humane sources like shelters, rescues, and responsible breeders who sell directly to the public. According to the Georgia Department of Agriculture, thousands of healthy, friendly dogs are euthanized yearly. Stopping the influx of puppies from commercial breeders could reduce this number and lessen the financial burden on local governments. And in the next slide, you'll see our First Lady Kim And she actually understands the overpopulation issue and is holding an adoption event at the Governor's Mansion this Saturday. So please consider this ordinance to protect the residents of Cobb County and the pets we love. And those are my two babies right there, Maisie and Bella. And thank you for your time and consideration.
The next speaker is Julie Escarcega.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Julie Escarcega, and I live in District 3. I have been a resident of Cobb County for the past 15 years, and I'm also employed within Marietta City. I am here to request that you consider a humane pet acquisition ordinance for Cobb County. I'm a volunteer with a national organization called Red Rover. Red Rover provides emergency animal sheltering and care in situations like natural disasters and also in criminal cases such as neglect, abuse, hoarding, and puppy mills. Back in 2014, Red Rover assisted Cherokee County Animal Shelter to care for approximately 359 dogs that were seized from a puppy mill within the county. I can attest firsthand to the condition that these dogs were in. These dogs had little to no human contact prior to their seizure, and the conditions that they were found in were deplorable. The photos that you're seeing on the slideshow are not from this exact deployment, but they are representative of the conditions that are found at puppy mills. These dogs were fearful, and they did not know how to interact with humans or even other dogs. They had little to no vet care, and many of them were very sick. They were simply puppy-making machines. The only way I can describe them is when you look in their eyes and they look lost and broken. They had no trust and no reason to trust. It was heartbreaking. After several days in the shelter, they were introduced to toys for the first time in their lives. They didn't even know what to do at first, and it took a little bit of time, but they finally learned how to play and interact. Cherokee County Animal Shelter housed these dogs for over a month before they could be adopted out. The costs for the shelter were astronomical, running approximately $117,000. Dogs and cats are living, sentient beings, and they deserve better than puppy and kitten mills. The consequences of these mills include both major financial and health impacts. As a resident of Cobb County, I implore you to consider a humane pet acquisition ordinance which would support the adoption of shelter pets in these pet stores. Please take this into consideration as it would benefit not only the dogs, but the residents and visitors of our county as well. And those are some of my kitties up there that I have. So thank you so much for your time. I do appreciate it. Thank you.
The next speaker is Roseanne Saker.
Good evening, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Roseanne Colasante Saker, and I live in Cobb County, District 2. I have lived in Cobb County since I moved to Atlanta over 22 years ago, and I'm here to request that you consider a humane pet acquisition ordinance for Cobb County and prohibit the sale of dogs and cats in pet stores. Why have almost 300 localities across 24 states already done so? You can see on the slides, one of the biggest reasons is consumer protection, financial protection, and emotional physical protection. The conditions at many commercial breeding facilities can compromise the health and behavior of the puppies produced, often leading to exorbitant financial and emotional costs to consumers. Buyers have reported paying excessive veterinary bills trying to treat sick puppies sold in pet stores. In many cases, the puppies still died. As reported on by 11 Alive on December 12, 2018, this Neapolitan Mastiff puppy, Aquila, is an example. The puppy was purchased for $5,600. Shortly after being brought home, the puppy started coughing and had green liquid coming out of her nose. After spending $1,000 on vet bills, the puppy kept getting sicker. Eventually, the dog's kidneys failed and they had to put her to sleep. Purchased on credit from a pet store, the couple continued to pay $175 per month after Aquila's death. You can see the quote there. The couple said, "We're paying for our deceased dog, and it's sad." Pet stores rely on such impulse buying practices and even manipulate customers into purchasing by using predatory lending practices. Clark Howard's team warned of such lease-to-own practices at pet stores on their website in July of last year. Is it necessary for pet stores to sell dogs and cats in order to be successful? The answer is actually no. The largest and most successful businesses in the pet industry do not sell dogs or cats. Instead, they work with local resources and shelters to adopt animals. These businesses profit from the sale of pet products and services, and they include both small local pet shops and large chains such as Petco and PetSmart. In 2017, the pet retail business was a $69 billion business, and every category that makes up that number saw an increase in sales except live animal sales, which saw a decline. Offering quality products and services is the key to a successful pet store. Why should we regulate a legal business selling a legal product? Historically, a number of products and businesses have been legal and unregulated until we learn more about them and realize the damage that they do to communities. Cigarettes, alcohol, and plastic bags are all examples of regulated products. Thus, there needs to be protections in place to ensure pet stores that sell dogs and cats do not endanger consumers or deceive them into supporting puppy mills. So I request that you consider a humane pet acquisition ordinance for Cobb County. Thank you for your time and consideration.
The next speaker is David Birkenbein.
Here's Mr. Chairman, Board of Commissioners, County Manager David Birkenbein. What a crowd. I love it. Maybe I'll rub off on some of them out here. Mine's on outdoor burning code needs to be enforced for safety of all citizens, burners, non-burners. It says right there what it said. We've been reading this for the past 2 months. Medical burn ban, our most vulnerable people. We just take and change it whenever we want to. Even on the application for the medical burn ban. Well, that was not what it said. We didn't mean, that was just outdoor burning, yard debris. No, smoke. I mean, how are you going to distinguish between the smoke? Like I said, you're in a restaurant, this side's smoking, this side ain't. Let me come over to your house if you're burning and let me smoke in your house and see how you like it. I mean, the air quality in the house doesn't change much. Again, even though you follow all the guidelines, but restricted burn areas, they're medical burn ban areas. They're not restricted, they're a burn ban area. If it interferes with another enjoyment of life or use of property, someone with a health problem is affected, it don't work. I done went through it. I was experienced going through this problem. Applicability, again, Article applies to outdoor burning within incorporated Cobb County. Code shall be controlling. Then it goes definition, clean wood. You know, there ain't no clean wood. It's all going to put out the toxins. It doesn't make any difference what you do to it. You can't wash it. You can't, you know, if it burns, it burns. It puts toxins out. And it's going straight into the air. Prohibitions. What does prohibition mean? Well, it means you can't do it, right? Supposedly, but not in Cobb County. Again, it's supposed to safeguard the public, safety and comfort, air quality, and living conditions for the citizens of unincorporated Cobb County relative to outdoor burning. No burning while it's cloudy. Oh, well, that ain't going to be enforced because, you know, you can burn in Cobb County. That's your right. Fire chiefs will be authorized to require the extinguishment of any fire adversely affected by enjoyment of life. That ain't going to happen. Fire chiefs are authorized to ban outdoor burning in a limited geographical area. Yeah, but there's stipulations. If you have a fire pan, fire pit, chimney right next door to you, even though you have 1,000 foot, even though you put out the documentation, even though it's filled out by a doctor, my fire chief, my fire marshal, and my safety director knows better on what's going to affect me. It all depends on which way the wind's blowing. Maybe if it's blowing toward my house, they'll put the fire out. Well, that ain't going to happen either. Here, you have penalties. Let the courts take care of it. Write them up. But safety director don't want to get his firemen involved in it between the neighbors. Well, write that ticket, say adios. If you can't do it, then let the police do it. But you're shorthanded on fire, but yet fire chief says, 911, call 911, call 911. Well, after a while, the firemen get aggravated. They get real aggravated on the same thing. And right there is the culprit, single-family residential tax. That overrides every law in that book. And even you, Commissioner, Chairman, Boyce, you said the people have the law. Well, what about the rest of the law? What about the rest of the people? This law is for everybody. It's not just up there to do willy-nilly and change it as you see fit, change it when you go. Y'all need to put the interpretation on it and tell them what's, or are they more in control than y'all are? Thank you.
The final speaker for this section is Amy Barnes.
Okay, I think we all know who I am. I'm Amy Barnes. I'm in District 4. Nice to see you all again. Well, approximately 5 years ago, I noticed that the law library was inaccessible to the disabled, that the stairwell, quite frankly, was dangerous to people going up and down. I can say that trusting the county to do the right thing has finally paid off. That the work of Mike Boyce, Deborah Dance, and I think a guy named Alderman, I'm terrible with names, and somebody else whose name I forget, Mr. Charon, I can say thank you and mission accomplished. I know this is not draped over a battleship, but it's still just as important. Because for these 5 years, I have expressly avoided litigation. I have worked, and the county has proven that they are capable of diligently working hand in hand with people who bring forth a reasoned, solid argument plus plans of action paired off with concrete demands and requests. And I can finally declare today, as of January actually, Cobb County citizens have been granted a new lease on life in their criminal and civil cases. That this county has been working, and I can assure you overtime, to ensure that the citizens are receiving a fair, open, and free access in continuum to the resources. I have seen website upgrades, and I wanted to say thank you and invite the public to floor number 4 of the Superior Court building. Today, we begin an era of exoneration, of fairness, openness, and we realize that the court, the heart of security in this nation, lies not just in laws and rights and constitutions, but most importantly, in the hearts and the minds of the public at large. And we can come together, and Cobb County has proven that we can come together to correct deficiencies. And I also wanted to weigh in on the law enforcement. I pray nobody here suffers any consequences for coming in tonight to take a seat, because our public safety personnel have families just like the citizens do. And I fully support, and we all know that I've been on both sides of the jailhouse door in the criminal case. We all know that history. I fully support the right of our police officers to a fair rate of pay. Pay parity is critical, and I have faith that our county commissioners are actively seeking measures. I have faith we, the people, can do it. And I say power to the people, all the people. Power to the people.
Amy, thank you, Amy. Thank you, Amy. Yeah. I appreciate your passion, Amy, and I can assure you there will be no retribution of any kind, nor has anybody's thought about retribution about who shows up here tonight. It's still America, it's still a free country, and I fought for 30 years, and I still believe in those rights. So with that, let's go on to, I believe, the consent agenda. And I make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as revised.
Second.
Yes. Before we vote on it, thank you, Commissioner. Let's scroll through all the consent agenda items there before we vote on it. Good catch. Okay, now I'll call the question. All in favor? And it passes 5-0. Thank you. All right, next on the agenda. It's truly an honor tonight for me to ask the board to approve the appointment of Jessica Gwynn to the position of Community Development Agency Director for Cobb County. Second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. And Mr. Hosak, would you like to bring forth Ms. Gwynn, give her an opportunity to be introduced to the public? And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would ask at this time for Jessica to come forward. Jessica came to us from the city of Dunwoody and is a graduate of Kennesaw State University and is going to help us with some unique and new perspectives. She comes very highly recommended. And thank you for stepping up, Jessica. And if I could, Mr. Chairman, I would also like to thank Michael Hughes for serving, doing a very good job serving as interim director until Jessica came aboard. So Michael, thank you very much for your service as far as that goes. And it's my pleasure to introduce Jessica Gwynn, sir.
Good evening, Commissioners. I just would like to thank you so much for this opportunity. As you all know, I'm a Cobb County native and born and raised here. I'm a McEachern High School, Kennesaw State grad, so I'm so excited for this opportunity to come and serve my hometown and to work with all the great staff and with you all here in Cobb County. Thank you.
Thank you. Look forward to working with you, Jessica. Okay, let's go on to the DOT part of the agenda tonight. Is Erica here?
She is.
There she is.
Good afternoon, Chairman and Commissioners. So tonight we have 8 items for consideration. And our first item is to request that the Board of Commissioners determine that circumstances are such that it is necessary to proceed with condemnation proceedings by declaration of taking under OCGA 32-3-4, authorize the commencement of condemnation proceedings on one parcel on Windy Hill Terrell Mill Road Connector, adopt a resolution in order for substantially similar to that attached and is approved by the County Attorney's Office, and further authorize the Chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
We have a second? Second. Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir. Our second item is to request that the Board of Commissioners amend a previously approved action that approved a memorandum of agreement with the Georgia Department of Transportation for preliminary engineering oversight of Kennesaw Mountain pedestrian improvements and authorize reversal of the corresponding budget transactions.
Commissioner Gamble.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2019-2 Mocha Road South with Bartow Paving Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $4,264,780 for resurfacing for county-maintained streets.
Commissioner Cupid.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve resurfacing contract 2019-3 Local Roads North with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $3,920,596.20 for resurfacing of county-maintained streets.
Commissioner Gamble.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve a consultant services agreement with Calix Engineers and Consultants in an amount not to exceed $889,556.41 for Phase 2 engineering design of roadway improvements on Old 41 Highway.
Commissioner Burrow.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second. Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 1 to the contract with Butch Thompson Enterprises, Inc., a no-cost time extension through April 30th, 2019 for McPherson Road sidewalks.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Yes. Have a second? Any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir. Our next item is to request that the Board of Commissioners approve change order number 2 to the contract with C.W. Matthews Contracting Company, Inc., a no-cost time extension through May 31st, 2019 for roadway improvements on Cumberland Boulevard, and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Mr. Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you. And our last item is to request that the Board of Commissioners ratify previous actions by the county manager approving an agreement for structural supports with BDC Office, LLC regarding a development parcel located within SunTrust Park, and authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second.
A second. Discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Jessica. Erica.
Already.
Guilty of all charges. I'll never live that one down. I will not make the mistake with you, Jimmy.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, Mr. Manager. Our item this evening is for the board to approve the contract closeout for infrastructure improvements at Jim R. Miller Park under the 2011 Park Splosh program. The work done under this contract with Universal Construction Company of Georgia replaced much of the underground water, sewer, and stormwater infrastructure in the park. After completion of the work, repeated efforts to reach the company to close out the contract were unsuccessful. After consulting with the county attorney's office, it was determined that sufficient effort had been demonstrated toward contacting the company to close out the documents. Therefore, we ask the Board of Commissioners to approve a deductive closeout of a contract with the Universal Construction Company of Georgia for infrastructure improvements at Jim R. Miller Park for a $10,027.09 credit under the 2011 Park Splosh program.
Commissioner Cupid.
So moved.
Second, in discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jimmy. On the support services, and Scott, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, County Manager. Property Manager has 3 items. Our first is to approve a contract with Gruber Fence Company for the commercial fence and gate installation at the new Public Safety Training Center. Funding is available in the 2016 SPLOST. The Board of Commissioners approved a contract with Gruber Fence Company in the amount of $139,814 for commercial fence and gate installation at the Public Safety Training Center, 2435 East-West Connector, Austell, a 2016 SPLOST project, and authorize the corresponding budget transactions.
Commissioner Cupid.
So moved.
Second, discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Our second is to approve a contract with William J. Redmond and Sons Incorporated for the purchase and installation for a computer numerical control machinery at the Property Management Cabinet Shop. Funding is available in the 2016 SPLOST. The Board of Commissioners approved a contract with William J. Redmond and Sons Incorporated in the amount of $155,605 for the purchase and installation of the computer numerical control machinery at the Property Management Cabinet Shop located at 30 Key Drive, Marietta, a 2016 SPLOST project, and authorize the corresponding budget transactions.
Commissioner Ott.
Motion to approve.
Second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you. Our last item is to approve a contract with Croft and Associates, PC, for full architectural and engineering services related to the Public Safety Training Center. Funding is available in the 2016 SPLOST Public Safety Improvements. The Board of Commissioners approved a contract with Croft and Associates, PC, in the amount of $550,000 for full architectural and engineering services related to the Public Safety Training Center located at 2435 East-West Connector, Austell, a 2016 SPLOST project. Authorize the corresponding budget transactions and further authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents.
Commissioner Cupid.
Great to see this moving forward. So moved.
Second, in discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
All right,
Thank you, Scott. And Public Safety, Animal Services.
Good evening, Chairman, Board, and County Manager. Asking to approve the renovation and repair of Animal Services Facility and authorize appropriation of approved funding into the Property Management FY 2019 budget. On February 12th, 2019, the Board of Commissioners approved a funding request for various capital and accountable equipment from the 2018 general fund balance. A couple of those items were pulled until further information could be obtained. Those two were $355,300 for Animal Services Interior and $165,000 for Animal Services Exterior. The building was built in 1994 and is in need of repairs and renovations to accommodate the rapidly increasing number of pets that we see come into the facility. Therefore, I'm asking the Board of Commissioners to approve the renovation and repair of Animal Services Facility and authorize appropriation of approved funding into the Property Management's FY 2019 budget.
And I make a motion to approve. Second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Sam. Sure, we're going to take a 5-minute break. Okay, 5 minutes. Not an East Cobb 5 minutes, not a South Cobb 5 minutes, but a 5-minute break. Know where you live.
The first speaker is Robert Hampton.
Thank you for your time. My name is Robert Hampton. I'm in District 3. I'm not a police officer, but I'm here to support them tonight. Some background on me. I was born and raised here off of Bishops Lake Road. I graduated from Pope High School, went to University of Georgia, and came right back to Cobb and bought a house. I've been here ever since. When I learned that the state of the police officers, it enrages me. I mean, government is, I understand that politics get the best of everybody, but government is really simple. One job, public safety. And I don't understand why these guys right here are not getting that from you. I mean, I love Cobb County with all my heart. And the reason why we're such a good county is because we've always had these people behind us. You know, one of the things that I do on top of work for Home Depot, I also officiate football. And one of the things when I walk out on the field and when I get off that field and walk back to my car, I have a police escort. I count on those guys because without them, you never know what could happen. So as a taxpayer, we need those guys here. If I were to call, I expect them to be here. Just like Mr. Commissioner, when you walk out of here tonight, you're gonna have your police escort. No, never have one? You don't have any police escorts at all? Okay. Understood. I mean, if you're a Marine, I understand that. I get it. I just hope that my speech and everybody else's speech that's going to follow me will persuade you to do something about it. So that the next time you see them, you can look them in the eye and tell them, I'm going to fix it.
Okay.
I appreciate your time.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate your passion. Thank you.
The next speaker is Susan Hampton.
My name is Susan Hampton, and I live in East Cobb County. And as most of you know, I am the originator of the flyer that is titled Cobb Law Enforcement in Crisis. Over the last 6 weeks, I have spoken with each of you in meetings or over lunch or at the most recent town hall meetings. Each of you say public safety is number one, and you are committed to fixing the problem. But then you say you are only one vote, and it takes 3 votes to take corrective action. The problem is over 10 years old, and it is getting worse every week. Can we really afford to continue to kick this can down the road? The police department alone has over 80 open positions, and public safety openings are approximately 210. So far, this first quarter of 2019, we have 25 or more officers that have left us. At this rate, we will lose over 100 officers in 2019. The same is happening in the fire department and the sheriff's department. This is a public safety crisis for Cobb County. We must find a way to stop further damage and begin to clean up this mess. The only way, or the way that I see it, is that we have a broken pipe in our house and our house is flooding. I would like to make the following proposals for you to consider. Number one, currently there are 211 budgeted opening positions. Those unpaid salaries and benefits are existing in our 2019 budget. Therefore, you should have approximately $10 million sitting idle. I ask you to immediately use some of those funds to either institute a step and grade pay scale, consider retention or signing bonuses, or anything else that will keep and attract people to Cobb County Public Safety. Number two, I ask you to review the proposed 2020 budget and determine items that are unnecessary or should be funded after funding the needs of public safety. Salaries and benefits need to be brought up to a level to maintain and attract qualified public safety officials. If the city of Atlanta can fix their public safety issues, can't Cobb County? Number three, future funding for the police should be in a special project district, separate from the general fund. The police should never have to compete with libraries, parks, hiking trails, or other areas such as this. When my husband passed away, I had to live on a budget. I was a single mom with a 7-year-old. I paid my mortgage first, I paid my utilities second, and then I bought groceries for my son. If there was money left over, then I spent it on the fun things, the things that made us happy. Here in Cobb, we need to take care of our priorities first, which is public safety, and then use what is left over for the fun, happy things. To do this does not require legislation. It only requires 3 votes. I am not a politician. I am not a public speaker. I don't have any family member that is a police officer, firefighter, or works for the sheriff's department. I am just a concerned citizen that loves Cobb County.
Appreciate your comments, Ms. Hammond. I look forward to seeing you on Thursday night again.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Lance LaRusso.
Good evening. I'm Lance LaRusso. I'm an attorney. I run a business in Cobb County, and I've been a resident for more than 30 years. Commissioner Boyce, you asked to hear from the community, and they're here, and they're still here. And I would expect if things are not done, you're going to keep seeing them show up. We keep hearing excuses, and we've heard them for years. I'm going to list some of them. It's not a crisis. It was a crisis 6 years ago when I tried to have breakfast with Tim Lee and explain it to him, and he told me it wasn't a crisis because he didn't want to deal with it, but it's worse now. It's a crisis mode that's now become SOP, as you heard from that young firefighter who was forced to leave Cobb. I'm only one vote. It's only one officer responding to a domestic dispute alone because they're short-staffed. It's only one deputy serving a warrant by themselves. It's only one firefighter having to come in and work overtime because they're short-staffed. Every action of government starts with one vote. These are tough choices. Several of you have said, I don't even know if you've heard yourselves say it sometimes, it's hard to close a library. But it's falling on deaf ears because the people in the police department, sheriff's office, and firefighters make harder choices than closing libraries every day that they go to work. They remove a child from an abusive home, pursue a fugitive in dangerous areas that most of you wouldn't go on a bet, not on a ride-along, and going into a burning house to save a child. They make tougher decisions every day than any of you ever dreamed of as commissioners, yet you disrespect them with your words and your inaction. You say the reality is we can't fix it now, we can wait till 2020. You can't wait any longer. Tomorrow I'd like to invite all of you to become public safety officers in Cobb County. Show up at work and send 10% or more of your staff home and work without them. Hope that things will get better and improve because you've heard the promises before, but it's a false hope. Work with fatigue as your constant companion because you're working part-time jobs. deal with a pension plan that's 52% funded. Except as you're sitting in your offices discussing these things, change your focus, that the people around you don't have your safety in mind, that you're sacrificing your safety for strangers. Your responses have been weak and demonstrate a lack of leadership. Pulling deputies and officers from short shifts so you can have security at the building and offices where you work is appalling. Stop talking, start working, and start fixing these problems before there's no one left to apply and no one committed veterans and public safety officers left to work these shifts. Your first obligation is to the public safety, not to positive publicity, not to surveys by your district, not to putting up with special interests who complain about any raise in any tax or any fee. It's not your priority to worry about green spaces and libraries as your first mission. Without safety and security, Cobb does not and will not prosper. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Steve Gaynor.
Thank you, Commissioners, County Manager, Chairman. Here I am again. And you did make the statement that we didn't care because we weren't showing up.
You need to
sir,
let us know who you are.
Oh, I'm sorry. Steve Gaynor, I'm Cobb County FOP President. I represent over 760 active members of law enforcement. And you said we didn't care, sir, and we are here to show we do care.
All right. I have been more than patient. I've been more than patient, all right? I appreciate your passion and enthusiasm, but there's a decorum to this room, all right? And you have to let the speaker finish his speech, and then you can do your thing, all right? So let's let him get through this, because you're using his time while you're doing this. So if you'd add another 30 seconds to a time, I'd appreciate it.
I'm good, sir.
No, I want to give you your time.
All right, so I want to just tell you, you recognized the J-Rock folks a little earlier and tell you how important this is to me. My daughter is a rock at North Georgia in the cadet program, and she got an award tonight. But I came here instead because this is important to these folks and to me. So I put up some numbers. I'm not going to go over them. I give you the numbers every time. But I'm going to tell you about an incident that occurred last night that I think most of you are aware of. A Zone 2 officer encountered an armed subject, which they knew to be armed and dangerous, by himself, and was involved in a shootout with that individual. He had no backup, and he had nobody there to help him. He defended himself, the suspect was shot twice, and the officer was not shot at all. But there was not enough officers to set up a perimeter, so we couldn't catch that individual until he was found on a porch in the morning by a resident. That's not the security we need to provide to Cobb County residents here in Cobb County, the place that I have loved working for 28 years and have been so dedicated to. You need to show your dedication to public safety by taking action. We can't wait till 2020, sir. We need action now. I sent you all an email about some suggestions because Chairman Olens always asked me to come forward with a problem and a suggestion, and I made some suggestions. I recommended a 15% pay raise just to sworn public safety, knowing that you'd probably reduce it to 10, and with an agreement that you would implement the step and grade pay study by 2020, that being an 11-step grade pay and grade study used at Brookhaven in the city of Atlanta. I asked for the POAB and the fire retirement fund to be paid by the county as part of the benefits for public safety folks, and I asked for a better hybrid pension plan for the public safety, the sworn public safety. I put up some numbers today just to show you what our numbers are. 211 openings. The Sheriff's Department has hired 80 people and lost 94 people since 2017. That's 2 years and 3 months. In 2019, they've hired 13 and lost 7. Cobb County Police has hired 19 and lost 26, 4 of which are in the last few days. For those East Cobb citizens and taxpayers, I want you to know that your precinct is the least staffed It does have 10 beats, but it only fields about 8 officers for those 10 beats. And you can see the numbers on the board as to where your shortages are. The officers, as short as they are running, are doing the best that they can. But I ask this commission to today make a decision to hold an emergency meeting, talk as a board, make a game plan, and take some action immediately. Not in 2020, but now. Everybody else has been able to do it midstream, and I would request that you do as well, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker is Dennis O'Rourke.
Good evening. My name is Dennis O'Rourke, and I'm a resident of Cobb County. I live in Kennesaw. Most people, most residents of Cobb County are extremely lucky, and I wish this on the board as well. They've never been in a position where their lives or the lives of a family member or their property has been in imminent danger, and the only thing standing between them and disaster is the first responder, the policeman or fireman that shows up the front door and saves them. That leads to complacency. I am not complacent. On 2 separate occasions, the quick response and expertise of police and fire department personnel, including paramedics, have saved my life. I would not be here speaking to you this evening without their expertise. A lot of people tonight have talked about the inequities of the pay scale in Cobb County. I will not reiterate on that except to say that neither police salaries nor fire department salaries or pension plans meet national averages. We moved here 2 years ago from Palm Beach County because we saw Cobb as a dynamic, growing place to live. This county is growing exponentially, both residentially and commercially, and it is providing a wealth of possibilities for its residents to enjoy their life here, unless you're a policeman or a firefighter. If you are, the complexities of this new population is just putting a strain on their resources. I would like to think that the board does not share this complacency. However, based on statements that I've read in the papers, that is not the case. We need to stop the bleeding. As a business owner, I can tell you that retention of class personnel is extremely important, and bleeding personnel that are trained and qualified to do their jobs is an expense that we simply as taxpayers cannot afford. Therefore, I simply urge the commission to bring pay scales up to the national averages, to take care of these people, that take care of us. There's an additional problem, and that is this. I come from a place where the fire department and the police department, the people that work there, live in the neighborhood that they're sworn to protect. It is my opinion and research that says that a vast majority of our public safety people do not live in this county because they simply cannot afford it. I want my neighbor to be a cop or a fireman. If they can't afford to live there, that's a disgrace. I urge you, as a new citizen, I've been here for 2 years, to please allow me to feel that the reason I decided to move here was the right reason. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Chuck Baird.
Good evening, Commission Chair, Commissioners. My name is Chuck Baird. I live in Powder Springs. Been a resident of Cobb County since 1974, and retired from Cobb Fire just about 2 years ago, a little past that. I'm in here on behalf of the new firefighters, the one that took my place when I retired. I'm gonna tell you a tale of two different firefighters. One who's retired. When he came in, much like the one that replaced that individual, wide-eyed, excited about doing the job, really wanted to go in, fight fire, rescue people from car wrecks, do the EMS thing, and didn't have any thought to the future, because I knew that the leadership of the department and the leadership of the county, well, we knew that they had us. They were going to take care of us, and they always had for a long time. That changed in 2008. Things got weird, and suddenly the board seemed more concerned about everybody else but public safety. I can't speak for the police. I can speak for fire because I lived it for 28 years. I still live it today teaching new young people to become firefighters, and I want them to have the same career I did, and I want them to have a better retirement than I will. Because back in the day, they didn't teach us about the risk beyond the on-duty risk. I knew the hazards of a fire. I knew the toxins and poisons that would kill me if I didn't breathe out of a bottle. But I didn't understand what they did to me long term. Not until they got older, I promoted through the ranks, and I had to care for the others in the station. And I had to train them to be my replacement. And they became my responsibility. And so then I started to learn those risks of cancer, of cardiovascular disease, respiratory illnesses, that usually don't kill us while we're on duty because you're approving funds for a nice physical abilities training facility. We keep ourselves pretty healthy on the job, but we shorten our lifespan to serve our communities. So I don't know how much time I lose to my grandchildren. I don't have them yet, but they're coming. And I won't be there as long as some of y'all will that don't have a public safety job. But see, the new young kids, at least they're getting some of that education. But what you've taken from them is the ability to have the retirement that I got. I have a defined benefit plan. I feel safe in my retirement. Then I also get health care insurance. See, my cancer isn't going to kill me while I'm on the job. Cancer has become the #1 killer of the U.S. firefighter. It has surpassed cardiovascular disease. And it's usually at the end of our career and immediately thereafter. And so we don't get to enjoy all the time we served and the retirement that we earned. And at least I have something to carry away. But our firefighters today don't get health care when they retire. And I understand health care costs a lot of money. But this group of people that served this county with pride for a long time, for 28 years, they deserve to be protected when they retire and to enjoy as much of it as they possibly can. And so I'm here to speak for them. They don't even know they need it yet. But I do, and I would be remiss, as a once leader in the fire department here, for 28 years, I taught and I led. Well, I'll be here for them as a voice for now until my time is up, because they need a voice of experience. And Chairman Boyce, as a U.S. Marine, I was one of those at one time as well.
Still are.
And you're an officer. I know you care about your Marines. I care about my Marines and my firefighters. And I'll be here to be their voice because I know the road they're heading to, and they just don't know where they're going yet. You want to keep good firefighters? Give them back a good retirement. Give them back good pay now so that they can afford to take care of themselves while they're on the job and hopefully enjoy some semblance of a retirement when they get off. Just a few numbers on cancer.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, sir.
The next speaker is Barry Krebs.
Thank you. My name is Barry Krebs, and I live in District 4. I'm a volunteer for the South Cobb Lions Club and also Keep Cobb Beautiful as a member of the Board of Directors, as a Commissioner Cupid appointee. I'm here to talk about Keep Cobb Beautiful and some of the wonderful things they do, which includes, tree planting, recycling, digging in the dirt, adopt a river, adopt a stream, and, litter issues. Under Adopt a Mile, I've worked side by side with Commissioner Cupid and Commissioner Boyce. I see lots of pictures of Commissioner Burrell, working on the Adopt a Miles as well. And Keep Cobb Beautiful has removed over 70,000 pounds of litter from our streets in 2018. And we've cleaned over 184 miles of roadway. In addition to that, we've had over 1,800 volunteers and almost 6,000 volunteer hours. Our Keep Cobb Beautiful programs are growing. At one point, when we have our recycling events, we'd only have like 500 cars show up. Now we've got 3,000 cars showing up. We continue to get more and more Adopt-A-Miles. Commissioner Cupid's area alone has gotten 36 new Adopt-A-Miles, within the past year and a half. So what I'm here to ask is that they get an increase in their budget for this upcoming year. We have some very talented people with Keep Cobb Beautiful. They're employed by, Cobb County. We have an executive director who's absolutely wonderful. She surpasses all expectations almost every day when I deal with her. She has a great staff that works for her, and it could be witnessed by some of the awards that they've gotten. In fact, this year in Keep Georgia Beautiful's annual banquet, Keep Cobb Beautiful won 8 different awards, and Commissioner Cupid won, elected official of the year. So the previous year, Commissioner Burrell won elected official of the year. So anyway, I encourage you to think about them when you're developing your budget. We want to make sure to retain these great staff people and continue to keep Cobb as clean as possible. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Barry.
All right.
The final speaker is Garnet Hughley.
Good evening, Cobb Commission and citizens. I'm here to speak to you. My name is Garnet Hughley. I'm presently a substitute teacher in the East Cobb school system. I have done long-term substituting for here in Cobb, and I have actually served as a supply teacher several times in the school system. I come to you this evening asking you to increase the budget so that there can be more teachers hired. I recently read 2 articles that brought to my attention something that I was seeing in the classroom firsthand. One of the articles was entitled, "Bigger Classes Become the Norm in Georgia." That was in the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Another article was entitled, "Amid Budget Cuts, Teachers Struggle with Larger Classes." The Cobb County Board approved a waiver that allowed 8 additional students K through 12 classes. This means that in middle school, you can have as many as 36 students in a class. This article was cited by Shannon McCaffrey of Atlanta Journal-Constitution also. This issue has been in the center of a lot of the strikes around the nation as class sizes have increased. I've personally witnessed an increase in class sizes at Dickerson Middle School, Dodger Middle School, Walton High School, and Pope High School. I'm asking the Cobb Commission to invest in human capital by increasing the number of teachers and enabling them to lower the class sizes. Also, there's a need for small group classes for individuals that are underperforming or have behavioral difficulties. And as it is with the fewer number of teachers, we cannot have those class for those special students. Presently, there are 30 students in some of the core classrooms at Pope High School. That's in your English, math, and literature classes. These are crucial classes for your students. Discipline has become impossible in larger classrooms, especially with the advent of social media and smartphones. Students are more unruly due to that, and it's hard for a teacher to control that. Having stood in a classroom with 30 students, it's very difficult to get around to the students that are most at need. Classrooms transition from being an educational environment into an environment of chaos when you have more than 25 students in a class. Particularly when you have students, 30 students or 36 students in a class, it's almost impossible to get around, particularly to those individuals that are in need. Particularly the young males, they suffer most. Minority males suffer even more. And students that have a different first language, they suffer also. And those that have behavioral difficulties, they suffer even more in the midst of a large classroom. Classroom becomes stressful. The teachers are under stress. More teachers are taking leave. And I'm at Dickerson Middle School just about every day because teachers are exhausted. They're burned out because the classes are too large. The other problem is this. If you have too large of classrooms, students become at risk for dropouts. And this has a direct effect on the law enforcement community because these individuals that drop out of school, there's a direct correlation between incarceration and high school dropouts.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate you coming tonight. Okay, thanks for all the comments tonight. Now let's roll on to appointments. First one is I move to approve the reappointment of Patty Lee to the Civil Service Board.
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. Commissioner Ott, I believe you have the next two.
I make a motion to reappoint Bill Carver to the Recreation Board.
Second.
Discussion, call the question. Passes 5-0.
Next item, I make a motion to approve Donna Rowe, reappoint Donna Rowe to the Development Authority of Cobb County.
Second.
Discussion, call the question. Passes 5-0. And Commissioner Cupid.
I move that we reappoint Elliot Pennington to the Recreation Board.
Second.
Have a second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0. And Commissioner Gamble, you have the next two items.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Thea Powell to the Board of Tax Assessors.
Have a second, any discussion? Call the question. Passes 5-0.
And then I would like to make the announcement that I'm going to appoint Milton Beck effective April 1st to the Neighborhood Safety Commission.
It's just,
There's no vote.
It's okay.
Thank you.
It wins. I'm sorry? Okay, so on to Commissioner's comments. I'll start with Commissioner Cupid tonight.
I would like to point people to my newsletter to find out about ongoings within our community and address the comments that were shared here this evening against advisement, but I think it's appropriate to address those who took the time to come out this evening. I do recognize that there is great disparity in how we have supported those in our county who serve in public safety and those who serve in our county throughout all of our agencies. And, you know, the term shared here tonight was kicking the can down the road, which is not the first time that we've heard that term when it comes time for budgeting. And I think all of our hearts are in the right place to want to provide adequate compensation to those who serve our county day in and day out. But as was observed in a lot of the comments, there is a strong political wind that seems to have gotten the best of our ability to be able to provide our employees the best opportunity to serve our citizens well. And so while you're here tonight, it's not necessarily our budget season. Any changes that we make in compensation need to be met with a commensurate budget, budgetary decision to support it. And we have the ability up here to modify our budget, but we don't always exercise that ability. And I would just strongly encourage you to be a vocal part of that process, and to help us do the right things. It hurts me to know that there are people who I serve along with here at the county who we've grown very close over the years that I've been here, and it is hurtful to hear of some of the circumstances of which people are living in. And again, you come and you serve to the best of your ability every day. And I think sometimes I've shared this with staff, and I haven't shared this openly with commissioners, but I sometimes think you don't allow us to feel the heat of our decisions because you go out there and bust your tail every day, and we don't have to see the consequence of it. And with that, it's easy to pay lip service and not provide the means to provide actual service. And I don't want for anything unfortunate to ever happen to anyone at this county. But I do believe that we need to put our money where our mouth is. And I think that's going to take a little bit more pressure from the public. I also want to share that there's a comment made that public safety is number one. Service to our citizenry is number one. But public safety allows us to be able to serve our citizens. And so I just don't want us to lose sight of that. There's sometimes I think there's a split between, we try to split things. We try to split employees from commissioners. We try to split public safety and pit everyone together. We're all in this together. And without us being a safe place, all of it falls apart. But, when we strap ourselves and we hem ourselves to having such low resources for the growth within this county, we start pitting people against each other. It's almost like we're fighting against one another. And as was shared tonight, there's police, there's fire, there's sheriffs, there's also IS that needs to man or be able to prepare vehicles. There's a lot of support that goes into making this whole county work. And so I don't want us to get into this position where we are pitting people against one another. We all recognize, and perhaps not enough because I'm not out there with you, and I can only read and imagine. I know the times I've called you, and I've been in quite precarious circumstances where I've had to call public safety myself. I can't imagine what it's like to be in your shoes, and we need to do better. But I want us to all realize that all of us working together helps Cobb County to be better. All I'm saying is just words, really. So I'm going to leave it short, but I'm just saying when it comes time for us to press that button where we're making our budget vote, we need this room to be as full, and we need to hear your voices so we do the right thing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. And I'd like to thank our public safety officers who are here tonight, and also for those that I've had the opportunity to speak with personally to learn firsthand what you face on a daily basis as your challenges and how we can come about to make Cobb County a better group for all of us. I would also then like to announce WorkSource Cobb. Cobb Works has an employment opportunity for graduating seniors for individuals aged 16 to 21 years of age, and if they're a Cobb County resident, they can go to the 2019 Youth Work Experience Program. To learn more, you can go to www.cobbyouthassets.org. Thank you.
Thank you. I too would like to say how much I appreciate the fact that not just our law enforcement and public safety officers and employees came out tonight, but also the public to speak to us. We do hear you, we hear your concerns, and we have made a lot of improvements over the years, but it's never enough, not for public safety. So we hear you. We are diligently working on several options to come forward in the very near future. And just thank you and keep pushing. I'd like to say thank you also to the Bells Ferry Civic Association Board and volunteers and Precinct 1 Commander Major Height and his team, along with Keep Cobb Beautiful for the Bells Ferry Civic Association cleanup this past Saturday on Bells Ferry Road. We collected 35 bags of debris, which is an all-time high. Thanks very much for all your efforts. And I'd also like to thank Jimmy Giese and Michael Brantley and the Parks and Rec staff. We had to close Sweat Mountain Dog Park in my district, and we're making some renovations there. And because it is so popular and we have so many dog lovers that visit the park on a daily basis, a certain time every day, we found a temporary park, and Jimmy and his team set up fencing for a small dog side and a large dog side temporarily while the Sweat Mountain's under construction at the Noonday Creek Park on Shallowford Road. So the dog lovers are happy, we're all happy. And so you can visit the Noonday Creek Park. If you go to Sweat Mountain Park, there's a map with directions on where the temporary park is located. And it should be just a couple more weeks before it's completed. So thank you, Jimmy and Parks and Rec. Okay, more doggy pictures. We're up to 82 pet adoptions for veterans in our Superior Pets for Patriotic Vets program. This is Grizzle? No, this is Bart. He's a basset hound? I don't think so, but that's what Animal Services gave me. But he was adopted by Mr. Grizzle, who is an 8-year veteran of the U.S. Army. Thank you for your service, and thank you for adopting Bart. And we had another adoption over the weekend from Mrs. Cash, who is an Air Force veteran. She adopted this 8-year-old Shih Tzu, and we thank her for her service. So if you are a veteran and you have proudly served our country, we thank you. If you are in the need or are interested in adopting a dog or a cat from the Cobb County Animal Shelter, the adoptions are free for veterans. And we're up to 82 out of 100. And then I'm going to call Superior Plumbing and get another donation. All right. And last but not least, I'd like to tell you a little bit about a program. It was mentioned earlier by the ladies that spoke on the humane ordinance. This Saturday, March 30th from 9 to noon, First Lady Marty Kemp is hosting Pet Adoption Day from across all animal shelters, humane societies, and rescues across the state at the Governor's Mansion. And Cobb County Animal Shelter is one of the partners. And we will be out there with our trailer with dogs and cats for adoptions. So you do have to register, and I have a little video because we got a preview day that Ross Cabot took. Do we have a video? No, this was a preview.
animals have always been a huge part of us and who we are, and getting us through campaigns, getting us through life. I mean, they're therapy.
It's great to have a statewide pet adoption day and showcase our dogs and cats from the Cobb County Animal Shelter.
Purebreds are wonderful, but you can also love a rescue, and rescues are so appreciative. I mean, they are just so loyal, as all dogs are, but there's just something really special about a rescue.
It'll be a great way to get the Cobb County Animal Shelter exposure, so that if the dogs that we bring on March 30th, if they all get adopted, then other people will know about the Cobb County Animal Shelter and can come, from all over to adopt. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I want to do, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to be there Friday for Sam's retirement. I found out too late with my schedule to be able to be there, and so I'm not going to have the opportunity to thank Sam for everything that he's done. Sometimes we don't see eye to eye, but I will tell every one of you in this room that man had your back. He came here and he stood toe-to-toe with each one of the people up here and stood fighting for you. So I would ask each one of you to give another round of applause for Sam Heaton. And as we wish farewell to Sam, I want to welcome Jessica. I'm sure she's standing back there going, "What have I gotten myself into?" It's a family that has some differences of opinions right now that they're trying to work through. But I want to just welcome you, and I wish you the best of luck. I want to also do a shout out to Susan Hampton. Susan, you're still here, right? I'm going to really embarrass her now. Stand up, please. I want you all to give this lady a round of applause. She has been out there advocating for you. I can tell you that on earlier in the week, when we were all out there celebrating and recognizing the firefighters for the tremendous things that they have done, the rescues that you performed, I think it was 38 saves that the firefighters have done. Susan was still out there in between the different presentations advocating on your behalf. So she is a wonderful lady, and she has taken on a mission. She has spent a lot of time at the different town halls, and so I just want to thank you, Susan, for bringing it to everyone's attention. I also want to say that I want to echo Commissioner Cupid's comments. I'm not as elegant as she is. I just do PAs on an airplane behind a closed door. So anyway, I agree with everything she said, and we need to put our money where our mouth is, and we have some work to do. We need to work on fixing this. There's been a lot of proposals that have been put out there. And we just need to kind of move forward. And the final two things I have, and this is a firefighter and public safety related item. Brad, can you put the picture up? This is Girl Scout Troop 19741 from Soap Creek. And for those of you familiar in the background, that is the safety village. The chairman and I received a letter from Jamie McMurtry, who is one of the co-leaders, and I'm not going to read the whole letter. We've all been here for a long time, but she just, they came and went to Sparky's house, learned about getting out of a house that's on fire, and just a lot of the other things at the safety village, and she just wanted to thank everyone that was involved. As you can tell, the girls had a wonderful time, and they learned a lot. And then the final announcement I have is history, well, actually I have two. On April 6th, before our next meeting, there'll be an electronics recycling and Vinings, And then this Thursday at the Catholic Church of St. Anne's, I have a town hall. Thank you.
Well, I realize I'm the last between you and that door, but I want to be a straight shooter here tonight. First of all, Mr. LaRusso, there are some of us here on this board who do know what it does to be on the other side of a gunfight. So don't generalize your comments. None of us up here know what it's to be like there. Where I've been, you probably have never been. So I understand what happens about taking care of your people, making sure you got their six, and they can rely on you all the time. And that's why I've done all that I can since I've come into office to share my concern with public safety and the fire department and EMS and 911. And I was at a ride-along one night at one of our favorite establishments. I'll go without naming. We're standing on the balcony waiting for a warrant to show up so we could go into a room and arrest some people. As I'm standing on the balcony, there was red light that shined on my chest. Now, it's interesting that if that red light had shined on the chest of a police officer, they could have arrested him. But as long as it's aimed on the chest of the chairman, it's not an offense. Every time we go out there as public elected officials, we're under the same scrutiny you are, because we're targets, all right? We're the face of the county. And when people are not happy, they know exactly who to go to look for. And I just think it's very important that this county continues to have the reputation. This is a place where you can safely work, live, play, and pursue your dreams. And to say that this board doesn't care is offensive. This board does care. So let me walk you through what we've been doing over the last 2 years so we can have this on a record. First of all, in 2017, we did pass the pay and class study. Did it take care of all the problems? No, it didn't. But it did, in fact, raise the public pay of 1,200 of our public safety officials. The problem is that we're all working from the same pool of resources here in the area. So every time we raise our pay, somebody else is probably going to raise their pay to come get them. So we're in this death spiral, competing with all these other departments around here, trying to match their pay salaries, their compensation. All right, so the only way we're going to do this is to find some way to raise the compensation to a level that we can find competitive. And ladies and gentlemen, we would not be able to have this conversation this year if we had not passed the millage rate last year. We would not. We're going to be able to probably find something to do this, to find a way this year to address the step and grade. But we would not have been able to do this without the millage rate increase last year. Now, I want to clear a couple things up here. First of all, Ms. Hampton has in fact been at every one except for one of my 14 town halls. Yes, 14 town halls. I gave her the floor for 13 of them, and not only did I give her the floor for that, I gave her unabridged. I let her have the floor. I left the room. She could talk as long as she wanted to. So she's been piggybacking off me. Why is that? Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is America. And we have First Amendment rights. And I do not believe in restraining those First Amendment rights unless it is matters of decorum or downright untruthfulness. So I've given her the floor. And the reason I did that is because my comment to her was that last year, it wasn't that I didn't say that people didn't care. What I said to her was that last year, the concern of the people seemed to be about other issues other than public safety. That was no way a remark that people didn't care. Of course people care about their public safety. There are so many forums that we do around here. Susan does them, Kim Hill does them. There are so many programs around here to support our public safety. To say that people in this county don't care about public safety, they must be blind. The reality, though, is that we deal with a very, very diverse public. They have various interests. Some care about libraries, some care about the extension, some care about recreation centers, some care more about public safety. But the point that I'm making here is that when I said to her is that you need to go find the same level of interest this year that I saw last year. And ladies and gentlemen, she did exactly that, which is why you're here today. All right? She went out and did what I suggested her to do. Why is that? Because this is what makes our country great. The fact that you could all sit here in this room in uniform and know there'll be absolutely no retribution to your presence tonight should say something about this board. You are a voice. Your First Amendment rights are not abridged by the fact that you're wearing a uniform. The fact that you're all here tonight, all right, says something about the organization of Susan and the groups behind them. But it says more to the fact that we believe in representative democracy, and you would not be here tonight if you didn't think this board was not going to be able to do something for you. If you thought this was a waste of your time, you would not be here tonight. But you're here tonight because deep down inside, you know we're going to fix this problem. We're going to fix this problem because this is how this system works. We have to have public involvement. And ladies and gentlemen, tonight, like I saw last year, we finally have public involvement. Nobody can say in this county that people don't care with this kind of a turnout. But I really want to emphasize, I trust this board. I do. We have our differences, but that's what makes us great, because we're allowed to have these differences, express them, and then find that middle ground called compromise, which is the oxygen of democracy. We have the resources to fix this problem, but the budget process isn't just about public safety. Ladies and gentlemen, 44% of our budget goes to public safety. To say this board doesn't care about public safety, the numbers belie that. We, in fact, do care about this, but we are involved in a process, and we have to find the middle ground. So what I'm asking you is keep involved, but be patient, because we have to see what the implications are of rearranging the budget so we can finally address this problem, but also understand there's consequences, that for every action, there is a reaction. And the way this works is when we come back in May, after we've done I've heard all the proposals from all the departments and saying what their budget is, and then I bring it back to the board, and then, as Commissioner Cupid said, we'll see, where our actions meet our commitments. But this board cares. This board has supported public safety. Last year, $21 million in additional public safety funding just for the police and sheriff department. That is not chump change. We have made differences, but we don't fix this problem overnight. And last year, the priority was righting the boat, fixing the hole, so we could get to a position where this year we can address this we can address this compensation issue. And I can assure you, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to address it. Some are going to be happy with it, some are not going to be happy with it. But most of you will be happy with it, because this board understands its obligations. And this process is meant to do exactly what's happened tonight. It is meant to get everybody involved in the process. So, I'm asking you, all of you that are here in uniform tonight, I appreciate your concerns. I appreciate the fact that you're here tonight, but I'm asking you also to trust this board. Trust this board, because clearly we hear you, but we have a lot of pieces we have to move around to address that very issue, to make sure that we address what's important. But public safety is our #1 priority, but it is not our only priority. So I welcome all of you. I'm going to thank everyone for being here tonight. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. But we're the board. We're the ones that have to make the hard calls. And we don't just answer to you, we answer to 750,000 people in this county. And every one of them expects us to do something to take care of them. So with that, thank you for coming tonight. I appreciate your passion. I appreciate your professionalism. I appreciate your involvement. I appreciate all about you, because you're Americans. You represent what's best about this country, those in uniform and otherwise. So with that, we're adjourned.